What's up, everyone? It's Mario here. I want to talk to you about why women are struggling with dating in 2018. What's going on, right? It's supposed to be you're the woman. You should have lots of opportunities. You should have the selection power. So why is it so difficult in 2018? Why do I have women in growing numbers coming to me saying like, it's really hard to date. It's really hard to find a guy. It's really hard to find a good guy. It's really hard to get any attention. It's just like nothing out there. I'm not getting anyone who's talking to me in person, online. I'm not having the success. I think there's nothing wrong with me. I think I'm decently looking. I don't think I'm hideous. I think I have some good things to offer a guy, yet I'm not being successful. What is going on? Well, in this video, what I want to do is address 4 areas that I believe are impacting, the lesser success of women dating in 2018. So as we go through them, I think each of them will kind of put a little piece to the puzzle together that will make you feel like that makes sense, that has impacted dating in 2018 for women, and I think you'll be able to relate to how it's impacting you. All right? So the very first thing that I want to bring up is the influence of technology. Now, let's compare 2018 with 1988. What's the difference there? Well, in regards to technology, was there Facebook? No. Was there Twitter? No, there was no social media, okay? There was no internet, and there was online dating. However, what online dating looked like in 1988 is far different than what it looks like now. It wasn't socially acceptable. It was only used by a few, if you want the image of who's using it, the image that keeps popping up, and it was unfortunately too accurate at the time, is not the best quality guys on there. It was super creepy. If you ever want to get some laughs, check out early sort of videos on YouTube or something from what online dating looked like in the 80s. Not pretty. So people weren't trying to participate in that. So very different. So now look at us in 2018. We have this technology that has given us access to a greater population than ever. In 1988, you think about like, how did you connect with people? Through the phone, through meeting them in person, friends of friends, social gatherings, like going out to social places, activities, who's in your neighborhood, who'd you go to school with, who's at your job, your social circle, and then your physical, whatever physical environment you're placing yourself in, okay? That's how you met people, all right? There was no, there was no online dating, so you couldn't just open up and find people outside your area. We had the telephone and not the internet, so there wasn't just this access to information and people like never before, so your world was much smaller. So now let's contrast that with 2018. 2018, you can connect with people who are not in your neighborhood, whom you've never met, who might live on the other side of the city that you live in, but you actually could find out that they have a connection with you. You can connect with people all over the world, but for sure you can find somebody in your city that you wouldn't have met before. You would have never known that they existed, and you can do that because the internet and online dating and all these apps, all these online dating platforms, and even social media. You can connect with different groups. Different people who like puppies, people who like dogs like yours, people who like the band that you like, people who like your local sports team. You name it, you can connect with people. And what I think that's done is I think that's influenced everybody just a little bit into this false sense of options. I don't think it's really options. Like, I don't think if you have 5,000 Facebook friends, you really have all these people who are really into you. Chances are you really only have 100 people that really actually know you. 50 of them are family, 50 of them are like friends and coworkers, and then 4,900 of them are people you've never met and will probably never meet. So it kind of messes with us because we get this sense of, I've got all these followers, I've got all these people who like my stuff, I've got all these people who, comment on my Instagram, I've got all these people who, comment on my Facebook, whatever it is. I've got all these matches on online dating that or I have all these people, that I can search for with online dating. Whatever it is, it's giving us this sense of greater options, which is great. There are greater options. However, I think the word options for most of us, men and women, should be replaced with greater access. I think access is a much better word. So what technology is doing is making everyone feel like they have, feel like options, but it's really access. And what that does is it's making everyone more selective, all right? Because men have access to more women than ever, whether it's, their connections via social media, which they didn't have before. And this is all in addition, like from 1988, we still have all those ways of meeting people, work, family, neighborhood, sort of the activities that we're involved in, social gatherings that we go to, bars, nightclubs, stuff like that. That's all still in place, plus everything with technology, this online world. So guys now have greater options. Again, let me replace that, greater access to a population, and that makes them feel, well, it should be a good feeling, that you're like, oh, all right, there's so many people to meet. Yeah, but you have to be able to attract them, and you have to have a legitimate shot. For example, you might have 5,000 Facebook friends, but 4,000 of them live outside your state, or most of them probably, a significant portion of them in a different country. So consider that, okay? So we have to be a little bit realistic, and a lot of times people aren't thinking like, well, let me really clarify who are my Facebook friends. I don't really have that many friends. They're just acquaintances or just people that I'll never meet. People don't think like that. It's just a big ego stroke, and I get it. It's hard not to have that ego stroke from all this social media. But what it's doing is, ladies, you're like, I don't get it. Like, why are guys not falling for me? Because they can see that there's so many other women out there, and you can see that there are so many other guys. So you're doing the same thing, right? You're like, a good example is like with online dating. With online dating, it's not that there's anything wrong with having standards and, having your type, being a little picky, totally fine. However, would you not agree that we're all getting like excessively picky with, like, say, online dating? I think so, because only with online dating, can someone just say, hi, I'm such and such, and and just very general introduction. If someone said that to you in person and walked over to you, you'd give them the time of day, even if they were like, say, 5 out of 10 attractiveness to you, okay? Let a 5 out of 10 attractive guy, say something to you, you're gonna probably be highly critical of him. Oh, I don't like his eyebrows. Oh, that one picture, not my thing. Or he said that one thing, so no. We're just like, next. Why? Because we have this, we know that there's this access to this population like never before. And that's great. But we are disqualifying people, for trivial reasons. And that's difficult. It also is giving guys this thought that, like, well, I can always move on to the next one. And it's so easy. Or, keyword easy. Sometimes a guy will, want to, figure out something that is easy if he can't identify what's worth it. So there's a challenge for you ladies out there to be able to represent yourself as worth it, which I think takes some skill. And that will kind of roll into what we're going to be talking about in my second point, okay? But technology is allowing people to become more selective, which is great, but the pickiness beyond just being selective, it's becoming an issue, which is basically forcing everyone to adapt and develop greater skills so that you can get past people's screening process, because the screening process was much more forgiving, say, in 1988. Again, I told you, like, if there's a 5 out of 10 that approaches you, you give them the time of day. Now, if a 5 out of 10 person approaches you, you're like, get away from me, or you don't even give them the time of day. All right, you're doing that in person and you're doing that online. Guys, girls, you are both doing this. So that's one reason that technology is kind of making it more difficult for women to date in 2018. Now let's get to the second point that I was bringing up. I was just saying that you need a different skill set to represent yourself, right? Prime example of that, online dating, okay? You need people to understand that you're worth it, right? You're worth the effort. You're worth more than just a hey message. You're worth someone taking you out, or making the time to meet you in person rather than just texting or sending you messages forever, or sending you just messages for like 2 days before they think that they need to quit. Like, oh, this is too hard. You have to learn a new skill set. And here's the problem. No one taught it to you, okay? No one taught you anything really about online dating. When you're growing up, of course, you had people, generally speaking, you grow up and you have some sort of parental influence who teaches you about like the birds and the bees. And when you're learning a little bit about the dating and whatever, someone tells you like, well, maybe you should do this so that, you make a good impression, and maybe you should dress this way and arrive on time and plan this out, whatever. You got some sort of guidance. But you didn't get any guidance for online dating. And there is the difference. Because right now, we are all guinea pigs. So a lot of you ladies out there, you're thinking like, but I'm doing the online dating. I'm trying. Like I'm doing what I'm supposed to. Okay, you're participating. I'll give you credit for that. Action is always fantastic. And if some of you if you're single and you're not trying online dating, I don't get it, because you literally have access to, 80% more of the population if you use online dating. It makes sense, the numbers there. But you need a different skill set, right? Okay, so let's get into that. With this online dating, what I'm finding is that women are struggling, to find somebody, because again, we're saying like guys have a lot more access to women, but how do you still become the selected woman? How do you become the one that they believe is worth an effort? Well, that requires knowledge and skills in online dating, which you weren't prepared for. And I think what is very important to you ladies is to understand that online dating world. Like you can't just say like, I showed up, made a profile, ooh, I should be successful. It doesn't work out like that, okay? And matter of fact, it hasn't worked out like that for you, because if you're watching this video and you're like, I'm struggling with dating, that's one reason why you're not killing it with online dating. And I think I know you could be doing better, but no one has prepared you for that. Of course, I have some information and access and courses that I do specifically with online dating. So if you want to check that out, for sure, that's always available on Get Game Group. But that's not my point. My point is, you're unprepared for online dating, and that is crushing you, because who wants to admit that they don't know what they're doing? Who wants to admit that they need to learn something? Who wants to, take a course? Who wants to, tell somebody like, what are you doing when you get off work today? I'm going to study this course about online dating so that I can better understand the world and start implementing better strategies to create my profile, and how to, communicate with men, and how to write a profile and create pictures in my profile that will attract attention. You don't want to say all that, but I think you need to at least be doing it, okay? So I don't think that a lot of you ladies, matter of fact, I don't think hardly any of you were ever prepared for online dating. How could you be? It's so new. You're the guinea pigs. 40 years from now, your grandchildren will be using online dating, but they're going to be growing up in a world that prepared them for it. They're going to know all about how to represent themselves with pictures, written content, how to communicate, how to make sure that somebody, is open to exchanging information and meeting. They're going to know all that, okay? But right now, you're the guinea pigs. All right, so that's the second reason. Reason number 3, why women are struggling with dating in 2018. We are still trying to. There's been obviously this shift in the roles of being masculine and being feminine, and that started really taking place big time in the 20th century. So the 1900s, what was going on? We had war, which meant all the guys were gone. What did that mean for the women at home? It meant the women started doing what the guys weren't there to do, working. All these different responsibilities. What did we ask guys to do in the 20th century? Become more in touch with their feelings, even, being, like we had beginning of stay-at-home dads. We had, we're asking guys to become, to embrace more of what we would consider the traditional female role. And we have women who we saw developing what we would consider to have been aspects of the traditional male role, all right? Guess what? In 2018, we're seeing that progress. I don't think it's a bad thing to become more well-rounded as men and women. I think that's great, but I think right now we're struggling to find that balance, because one of the things that I'm really getting into is I'm getting so many professional women coming to me saying, I can't meet a great guy. Like, they're intimidated by me. They think that it's just intimidating. Basically, the key word is intimidated. All right, because what do we think that a man's role is? To provide, to protect, and to be that directional system for a relationship, right? Well, what happens when he runs into a woman who is 40 years old, is making good money, she's very successful, she doesn't need you to provide, she can protect herself, seems like she doesn't have an issue with protection, she lives in a great neighborhood, maybe she owns her own firearm, I don't know, she takes MMA classes, and like, the protection really isn't an issue for her, and she doesn't really need your guidance because she's doing just fine. Like, she's soaring up, she's doing so successful career-wise, but she's single right now, so she's just looking for somebody to, mesh with, who's compatible with her. Well, you're right, ladies. A lot of guys are intimidated by that, because it's kind of like, well, what am I here for, like, it seems like guys would be like, oh, that's great, women are more successful, but what happens is, now we're dealing with, let's put these two people in a room, and when they try and have that relationship, it's not meshing like this, it's just clashing so often, because they're people with shared roles, which they are unable to kind of remedy. There's really not a great model. We're working it out right now. So one of the reasons that it's difficult for you ladies out here dating in 2018 is because you've embraced some of the traditional man roles. You're becoming very successful, in your careers. You're becoming very competitive in your personalities. I think that's great. It's fantastic. We have young girls who've grown up playing athletics, and that's something that changed in the 20th century. We didn't have that at the beginning, but by the end, we certainly had women and young girls participating in athletics and other things that were normally associated for those competitive boys. So I think we have a generational difference, and right now what we're trying to do is remedy how women have taken on some traditionally male roles, and how men have, taken on some traditionally female roles. We've got a lot of young men who have been, not even young men, just men period, who've been brought up in, all-female households. So they only have one influence, and guess what? Sometimes it's just natural that a guy is going to be more in touch with his feelings. Other times it's been nurtured by his environment, people saying that, oh, you have to be so sensitive and open-minded and communicate. That's great, nothing wrong with that, but there's this balance that's missing, and what happens is you ladies are complaining, and you're saying like, oh, like these women are complaining like the guys are pussies, and you're like, I want a man's man, like I want him to be manly, I want him to, be a man, and they're not saying like, I want him to put me in my place, but they're like, I want a strong man that, I feel like is a strong man. And that's true. I run into these very strong women, and I'm saying like, hey, there's nothing wrong with you. I just think that, very likely you need one of those traditionally stronger men, and is at least by masculine nature. So that's something that we're trying to remedy. We're working through it, but the best thing that we can do is just kind of be aware of that situation and better identify what's going on. What's going on is exactly those, we're becoming more well-rounded in our roles as men and women. However, there's conflict with that change. Not all you women are happy with these sensitive guys. And of course, there's men that are just as confused and intimidated by all these ultra successful, competitive, and just strong leaders of women. So I don't think there's anything inherently wrong there. I think we just have to better understand what's going on. When I have these discussions with a lot of my women, these women are traditionally late 30s, early 40s, and they're very successful, and they're just like very strong personalities that you would say like, I look at them and I would say like, a lot of guys can relate to you because they're ultra competitive, they're ultra focused on the career, all sorts of things that we would, label as manly sort of traits. But these women are pulling it off. They're achieving all sorts of great success, but it is intimidating to those guys. So they have to figure it out too. Like, guys are gonna have to do some growing to work with this population of women, or they're gonna be left behind. And I think what better needs to happen is not that people will just just end up being apart. I think that they're just gonna have to develop more about themselves. So evolve beyond just being sensitive, and evolve just beyond just being authoritative and providing that pursuit of a goal, ladies. Like, there's some things that we need to provide some balance on, and I think we'll work on it. But that's one reason why it's difficult in 2018. We're having that clash of progress from the development of our men and the development of our women. So think about that. Last, what I want to share is that a lot of you women, times are different, okay? Remember, where I'm talking about, with technology comes this access to a greater population. Well, one part of that is like acknowledging like it's pretty competitive out there, right? Like, you can't just, it obviously hasn't been good enough for you to just sit on the sidelines and wait for success. That reactive approach has clearly not worked for you, and that's because you're not in control. You're not in charge of when success comes, or who's going to be the captain of bringing that success. What the problem is that I see time and time again is fantastic women who are great catches, but you have to adapt to the times, and part of adapting to the times is learning a new skill, and this new skill is being proactive and going after what you want. I know that, traditionally, men have chased the women have allowed men to chase them, and women held the power. But I told you, like, things are changing. Guys think they have all these options, and they kind of have access, if not options, okay? But what you need to do is, ladies, you need to learn the skills of how to be proactive. Part of it is just having the being able to take that step to be proactive, to have a guy that you're interested in, and do something to pursue him. Like, a lot of you ladies won't do it, period. You won't pick up, you won't walk over to a guy. You won't ask a guy for his number. You won't ask a guy out to something as simple as coffee or a walk. And you're just like, I'm not going to do it. That's not what a woman does. Well, right now you're an unsuccessful dater. So I would say you need to expand your dating skills. And one of those things is learning how to be proactive. A lot of the times, what's really interesting when I'm using online dating apps and when I'm working with people, what I find is that, what do we know? Guys usually have to message first, right? And what do you ladies complain about when a guy messages you? You're like, most of the time you get tired of, like, boring messages, a guy who doesn't try. These hi, hey, hello, what's up sort of messages. You're like, I don't want any of those. You want a guy that is actually reading your profile and relating to you in some way, something that shows that, like, he paid attention to your profile and he thinks that there is some possible compatibility between you two. You want to see some effort, right? Well, guess what? When I'm on Bumble, and when I'm using that app, and when I'm talking to my women who use that app, there's one common thread. Most of the messages, because Bumble, if you're not familiar, Bumble is an app where if two people match, man and woman, the woman has to message first for any interaction to begin. So you would do the swiping thing, and if you both swipe on each other, the woman has 24 hours to message first, and the man cannot message at all until the woman has messaged first. Guess what? 9 times out of 10, maybe that's an exaggeration, but more often than not, a woman is doing the same shit she hates out of men. She's messaging, hey, hi, what's up? How are you? And what it displays to me time and time again is that women struggle just as much. They don't know how to be proactive. And matter of fact, they're actually worse at it than men if they're forced to be proactive, because men at least know that, I have to be proactive, so I guess I'll do it. And then hopefully, they sooner rather than later, a guy learns that, I probably should message more than hi, at least if he plans to be successful. So the thing is with women, they're so unfamiliar with this role of pursuing you don't know how to be proactive, and you're uncomfortable. You think society has taught you to never make that first move, that you should be, that it somehow makes you a lesser person. Like, like a lot of you women out there, we talk, and you just think like, I'd be, horrified, for people to find out that I asked this guy out. I'm like, why? Are they living your life? Are they alone on Friday nights when you're over there eating bonbons and drinking wine by yourself? Like, you gotta live life for you. I want you to understand that it's very necessary in 2018 for you to develop these proactive skills so that you at least, one, become more comfortable being proactive and making the first move. I think you can't just leave everything to fate, leave everything to destiny, and just don't give me this bullshit excuse of, I just leave it up to God or fate or whatever, higher power, and like whatever happens, happens, and the timing will be right when it happens. That is total bullshit, okay? That's you being scared to make a move, scared to fail from effort. Here's the thing. We all are gonna fail with dating, but you have to learn that failing doesn't make you a failure with dating, okay? So what I want you to know is that action is paramount to your success. And, that proactive approach will, like, what would you rather have? Would you rather have the coffee with the guy that you like? Or would you rather not have the coffee with a guy that you like, but at least, you stuck to your guns and I didn't ask anybody out? I think you'd probably say like, well, geez, if it were that guy, then I knew he would have coffee with me. Like, I guess I would ask him out. Well, here's the thing. I can't promise you that the guy will say yes, but I can promise you most times nothing will happen if you don't make the first move. Don't be afraid to make the first move, because I'll put it like this. The way I explain it to my online dating students is this. If you think someone is a catch, there's 20 other women who think that he's a catch as well. And out of 24 of them, maybe have the guts to message first. At least 2 will have the guts to message him first. Guess who he's going to be responding to or connecting with first? Those women who messaged him. And maybe he might message 2 others on his own, but then that leaves 16 of you who are just holding your phones, waiting for this guy to message, and he never does. So don't be afraid to make that first move. In fact, I think you need to practice being proactive, making the first move. Yeah, it's a competitive world. I want you to succeed. And ultimately, what do you want? I'm guessing you want that sort of relationship, probably a committed romantic relationship. Well, guess what? It's very unlikely to just come like drop on your head. So we have to become a little bit more proactive, okay? So there we have it. 4 reasons why women, you're struggling with dating in 2018. I think there are some things that we can work on. I think you need to, for sure, recognize the impact of technology and how it's making you think that you have greater access. Well, guys are thinking that they have greater access too. And then we also need to consider that, we're new to online dating. So, we probably don't know everything. We probably could use some lessons and learn a little bit more about how to be more successful. Seems legit that, if we're going to use something, you want to know the best strategies, right? And it also makes sense that, in 2018, we are seeing those clashes between men and women where it's like the man is, got some feminine aspects to him and it bothers you. It's too much. You want him to be sensitive, but you don't want him to not be able to lead the relationship. And the guy is saying like, I want a woman who's strong, but I don't want her to be, working more than me or being the boss, all the time. Like, we're trying to figure out how either we can get better or how we can mesh better, but that's something that we're working through in 2018. Progress sometimes is a little bit rocky, and right now I'd say 2018, the expansion of the male and female role, that expansion has just become a little bit rocky, and it's expectedly rocky, but that's one reason why dating in 2018 it's tough for you ladies out there, okay? And last, I want to remind you, you got to learn how to be proactive, okay? You got to go after what you want. It's like that job, like a lot of times, what sort of job do you have right now? Is it the job that you want? You know, if it's not the job that you want, you know, did you go after the job that you wanted? You know, did you walk in the front door and say, what do I have to do? Like, who do I need to apply to? What sort of experience do I need? You know, what degrees do I need? You know, and there are other people, you know, who are doing that, who have no problem introducing themselves and saying, like, I want to work for this company. Like, this is what I'm looking for. You got to go after what you want, okay? Even in the dating world. So there we have it. 4 reasons why dating in 2018 is such a struggle for women. But hopefully it won't remain a struggle for you. Thanks for watching. If you appreciated the content, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And if you believe that learning about better strategies for life and love is advantageous, I invite you to join Get Game Group. Membership is free, open to men and women, offers weekly game video lessons, and a weekly mailbag for member submissions. Click the link in the description to join.